Hey guys, welcome back to World of Warships. Today, we have a free ship to look at. This ship, the October Revolution, is available completely for free if you're watching this video within the first few hours. This is a very powerful Tier 5 battleship that has 12 guns. And we all know what happens to cruisers at these tiers. You can get this thing completely for free as long as you've linked your account to Steam, or you just started with a Steam account. I will link the instructions in the description and pinned comment down below if you haven't already. First few hours that this video goes up, this deal should still be available on Steam. Unfortunately, I was only made aware of this as of yesterday when you're listening to this, or today as I'm recording. I made it as soon as I could, but I wasn't aware. On Steam specifically, they are discounting this pack by 100%. Very cool. It's an extremely strong Tier 5 battleship. It still holds my most ships sunk in a random battle, the record on my account for that, at 9. That's the most I've ever sunk in a battle, is 9 enemy ships, and this is the one that holds that for me. Tier 5 games, you get a lot of newer players, of course, and that means a lot of somewhat clueless broadside cruisers, and that's really what this ship preys upon. This ship does not have particularly powerful guns when it comes to AP pen performance or the damage. It's actually pretty low. 8,150 alpha damage on this AP with, at 15 kilometers, only 272 millimeters of pen, which is quite low for a battleship. But it has short fuse time, so you should notice that we actually do get more consistent full pens on these light cruisers. Maybe not as much as you expected higher tier with short fuse, because these light cruisers at these tiers are very, very lightly armored. So we're still going to get quite a few overpens. The real downside to these guns, though, is the slightly long reload, but more importantly, your shell velocity is very, very slow. You'll notice I'm going to constantly be misaiming in this video. I haven't played this ship for a while, and while there's a lot of fun to be had at these lower tiers, I would not recommend you play below Tier 5, by the way. There are no player versus player games really held at Tier 4 and below, but Tier 5 you can still get them, and there's still a lot of fun to be had at these tiers. It's just, these shells are extremely slow, even compared to some Tier 10 ships, even light cruisers at Tier 10. We just simply underled that guy, and unfortunately he survived. Hopefully my teammates can clean that up. What you're seeing, though, is battleship dispersion with 1.9 sigma. 12 guns, 1.9 sigma battleship dispersion. That's kind of what Montana has. Not, of course, with the American accuracy upgrade at that high tier, right? This ship does not get access to that, but you're going to see this ship deliver relatively consistent dispersion. It's 205 millimeter guns, so the caliber is not that huge, so we're actually going to be bouncing some shells here off of this cruiser. But if you aim right, you will be consistently rewarded with this ship. It does not have the Russian battleship dispersion formula. This is still on the standard battleship dispersion formula. It's quite interesting. The Russian battleships, if you don't know, in this game, at really close range, they're actually way more accurate than any other battleship. And around 10 to 12 kilometers, that starts to fall off, and it falls off quick. So if you've ever played through that line and wondered why your shells were so bad, the dispersion was terrible at longer ranges, and as soon as you got within 10, suddenly it's a laser beam. That's why. It's very, very different from standard as far as dispersion tables go. Even though we only have the standard battleship dispersion formula, we still get really accurate salvos at these closer ranges here. Brawling this Kaiser here, you're going to just notice the sheer number of full pens. It's very, very consistent. Not always going to dev strike everything, but it should be very, very consistent for you. The ship also gets very unique damage controls. They're limited in stock, right? The damage controls. We've seen that on the Russian battleship line. But if you've never played this ship, pay attention to our cooldown time, as well as the duration. It's a 15-second duration. We don't usually see that on the damage controls for these ships, but that's a 20-second cooldown. The standard Russian damage control has a 40-second cooldown, so this one can just absolutely spam through these things, and that is so valuable when you're in brawls with secondary ships that are lighting fires, or plenty of cruisers can light a lot of fires at any tier, really. So a buffed up damage control, standard healing, and a very vulnerable Citadel. Yes, that's what we got to talk about, as well as a downside. As long as you stay angled, you're incredibly tanky with this ship. But as soon as you go broadside, you will be punished. For me, I like that. All right, I think that's actually a really good thing. In a brawling situation like this, it really makes you have to think about your positioning. When do you want to swing out and fire these guns? When don't you want to do that? But if you keep it angled, as you'll see in this clip here, we're about to, I think we'll get around 1 million more potential damage before we go down in this clip, by the way. Very, very, very tanky ship. These lower tiers, these battleships at these lower tiers here, have very different armor schemes than the higher tier battleships, where they have very little superstructure, and the deck armor, the upper belt, is all heavily, heavily armored. Where at high tier, you don't really see that. Large superstructures, deck armor, upper belt, generally pennable by a lot of the HE at your tier, at least from cruisers, heavier cruisers, that kind of thing. But if we stay angled here, yeah, we can just tank through everything. We get a fire on us, we can just insta-damage control it. It is a very, very fun ship to play. A little busted, all right? Admittedly, very busted at tier 5. This is an extremely, extremely powerful battleship. It does not have 360 turrets, if you're wondering. The front turret and the third turret face forward, and the second turret and the fourth turret in the back there, they face backwards. So a weird layout. The turret traverse is very, very slow. So generally, if you're swinging your ship around or having to change sides, you will have 2 turrets usually, but swinging all 4, not always going to happen. We do end up going down there. Not particularly close match to that one, but that's okay. Those happen all the time. What I really wanted to show you there was just how long we managed to live. We pushed up in a blowout where our team kind of melted, and we still lived forever with this ship. It's very fun to play at these tiers. And for the low price of free, again, at least as long as you get it as soon as this video is posted. I do apologize, all right? I try to be a little more up to date on these things. I've just really not paid attention to the Steam specific store. I didn't realize it was different from the regular World of Warships store. So just happened to be looking through Steam at the World of Warships Legends page. That's coming to Steam very soon. Don't worry, I'll start making some content there as well. Can start talking about that soon, but happened to see a deal, 100% off. Good old Steam giving us those deals. Furutaka here, he's going broadside. You know what that means? That means, well, you've already saw the first salvo. Here's the second one. That no context clip at the very start? Yes, sir. These two were the preceding salvos from that dev strike. It is consistent, but it is still a battleship, all right? It is still going to troll you from time to time. You got to expect that. Even at tier 5 here, where the cruisers are incredibly vulnerable, the citadels are gigantic. They have essentially no armor, and people tend to play rather close here. Sometimes RNG is RNG. Here we go, though. This is our time. There it is. 2 citadels, and then a third one to finish him off. The dev strike. There it is. I really wish we had more lower tier games, by the way. Even playing tier 5, I got matched into a tier 4 and 5 game, and half the lobby was bots, by the way. I really wish we saw more people playing at these lower tiers. Maybe that's just the protective matchmaker for new players, which is a good thing, by the way. Allowing new players to ease into this game and not get smashed by all the busted tier 3 and tier 4, tier 5 even premiums that some very experienced players would have. That wouldn't be a fun experience for them. But it's a little sad that as someone who's played this game a long time, I can't really play low tier without just fighting bots. Wargaming did a massive balance patch for tier 3, tier 2 maybe even, up to tier 5, tier 4 or 5. They rebalanced a bunch of ships down here. But did that really accomplish anything? We still don't get games at these tiers. It's a little bit disappointing, I gotta say, because there's some really fun matches to be had, especially as we get into really low tier. You don't have to even deal with submarines or even carriers at these lower tiers. Just some classic boat-on-boat action game, which is why I started playing this game in the first place. And while I wouldn't play there particularly often, coming back and playing tier 5 here even for a little bit reminded me that there's still a ton of fun to be had at these mid and lower tier games. And it's a little disappointing that almost half the tiers really are cut off from us, more experienced players who aren't in that protected matchmaker queue. I'm not really sure what Wargaming could do to fix that. It's a very old game after all, so the number of new players probably not that high these days. Seems like the server population is somewhat stable, I guess. For the most part, it seems pretty stable day to day. But it means we don't get as many newer players, and it means we don't get some of these lower tier games. Fortunately for us, though, if you're getting the free ship here, Tier 5 still does get games. You're often going to get those up tiers into Tier 6 and potentially even Tier 7, just because you don't really see many down tiers at all. It still is a good ship into those tiers. This Ismail here is the Tier 6 version, the Tech Tree Russian battleship, and he's a lot better than us, certainly. But we can hold our own. Our armor holds very well, even against Tier 6 battleships, even Tier 7 battleships. We don't have to worry about even 406s overmatching us for the most part, and that does allow us to angle quite well. Higher tier DPM cruisers, you can potentially see an Atlanta in this thing. Well, that's where these damage controls come into play. Notice how they're perfectly lining up with this Ismail spamming HE at us. If you've ever fought one of these things and wondered, how is he always damage controlling my fire when I get it? Surely next time I'll get the permanent fire. This is why. That 20-second cooldown time is absolutely hilarious. You basically have the same or very similar uptime versus cooldown time on this damage control. It is really, really funny. Trying to burn down one of these ships is inadvisable. Alongside our great armor scheme makes this ship very, very tanky, very difficult to take down. And Ismail gives us broadside finally, and no citadel. I told you it was consistent, and I still believe that, but it does troll from time to time. We've nearly got 100k though in a tier 5, so that is pretty good. Unfortunately for us, AP bombs. You all know what I'm gonna say here, so I don't even need to say it, right? At this point, I don't think I need to say it. I'm here waiting now for the Ismail to maybe give me one last broad. Yes, I was doing the filthy Kuznetsov play on the tier 5 ship. I'm sorry. But you can too if you're gonna watch this video within the first few hours of it going live. Again, apologies that I didn't see it sooner and couldn't notify you in a little bit more time that you can do it. But again, linked down below will be the instructions on how to link your account to Steam, so you too, if you're within the first few hours of this video going live, can get yourself this ship completely for free. Of course, building this ship, there's a lot of different ways you can go, it being premium and all. You should have a relatively high level commander if you've been playing for a bit. You can just pull your Russian battleship commander over. It'll do pretty well. At higher tier, they get decent turret traverse, so you may have something else other than that. I often find myself taking this skill for the 40% prep time for your consumables. That's a really nice buff. But this is the build that I was running in these videos here. Pretty basic. I'm not sure if this... Actually, no, this is mandatory because of the damage controls. I was about to say, I found myself not getting to 5 heals very quickly, and there's the rare chance that you could get 2 million potential damage in this one. But no, you want this because of the 5 damage controls. Those come back so quickly that you basically are immune to fire as well. Those are available to you. And look at this armor. One of the main problems of playing at this tier, as far as battleships go, is you just get overmatched by a lot of the enemy battleships. So if I was to play a Texas, for example, we have 19 millimeters of armor. That is easily overmatchable by ourselves with 356s here. And at tier 6, you may start to see 26 millimeters of plating. Suddenly that's overmatchable by 380s. That's the problem I personally have with playing a lot of these lower tier battleships when they have this kind of armor scheme, where with this one, yeah, you don't got to worry about that. I find it annoying that you can't angle to anything in some of those other ones, like a Texas, for example. Anyone shoots you, you just take damage, man. Being able to angle is really, really nice. It does mean if you give broadside, it'll arm and fuse a lot of AP shells. So you take more AP full pen damage, less overpens in that regard. But if you're angling properly, shouldn't be too big of an issue. You really do need to angle, though. Wait, what? I was led to believe this was an above water citadel. I thought it was the same hull. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Well, I've made the video already. I can't really... Yeah, I thought it was this. I thought we had a similar hull to Ismail. Okay. This ship is kind of nuts. I'm surprised I took as much damage as I did. Maybe it is above waterline. It's hard to tell. Feels like waterline citadel. It's vulnerable enough that you can get smashed, obviously, as we've seen. I thought it was this high. I thought it was spaced, but this high. I'm wrong, okay? I don't look at these tier 5 battleships all that often, so you'll have to forgive me if some of the stats and things aren't exactly right. I was looking at a third-party website for it while recording, so it should be accurate as far as the stats go on shell velocity and fuse times, arming thresholds, all that kind of stuff, the actual damage here. But I was wrong on the armor as far as that citadel goes. Interesting. It's a very strong ship, man. Very, very powerful at tier 5. Don't play it much because it is tier 5 and we don't see a lot of games below this, so it's often up tiers, and you can do pretty well in those up tiers. The ship is extremely strong for a tier 5. And again, apologies for not getting this video out sooner. Did not realize there was such a crazy sale specifically on Steam. Again, that is linked in the description down below. How to link your Wargaming Game Center account to Steam so that you too can gain access to this. Again, only for the first few hours while this video's up. I do apologize that I didn't get it out soon. Man, I should have been paying more attention because this is so good. Just to rant a little bit in a positive way for Wargaming, all right? I rant a lot negatively on Wargaming these days. I've been pretty hard on them recently, especially on the monetization. But this is incredible. I don't know if this is Steam or if this is Wargaming. I have no idea. Maybe both. But this is amazing. This, like, free is crazy. Like, the 80% discount on the Azure Lane Cleveland thing was excellent as well. It's a long grind, but you can get Warspite for 1,000 doubloons if you grind through the current event over the next month and a half or so. These are good things. You don't have to gamble on them. You play the game, and you can put in a little bit of money, and you get some pretty decent value out of that. But free is free, man. This is sick. This is even better. I should have been paying more attention, man. This is the best one yet. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great rest of your day.